really start the meeting. Am I coming across clearly? Nasa Davao kasi ako right now. Hindi masyadong okay signal. Okay lang ba?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Yes, sir. You're coming in clear, sir.
Sige, alright. With that, let's call the meeting to order. Secretariat, can we do the roll call please and determine whether we have a quorum?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and all to the members of the Bids and Awards Committee. Sir, allow us, sir, to for the roll call, sir. Kindly acknowledge everyone once your name is called. For our presiding officer, Attorney Roberto Martin Buenaventura,
Present.
Engineer Arnold Balucating, Engineer Arnel Borlado,
Present, good morning.
Ms. Amneves Gabriel,
Right now. And then,
Engineer Elmer Gomez.
present, good morning.
For our end user, Mr. Chair, from ANS, Mr. Florian Atienza.
Present, good morning.
Also from ADMS, provisional member, Architect Emerson Salas. From AFS HRMD and AFS ODG Core Plan, we have from Strategic Planning. So only Mr. Engineer Arnold Balucating, Mr. Chair, is not present for today's meeting. So we have a quorum. We also have, Mr. Chair, the in attendance, the members of the Technical Working Group, BAC Secretariat, and observers from the Commission on Audit, Mr. Dinopol. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
From PCCI, Internal Audit,
Good morning po. Iyash.
PICE, NGO, EBJFI, and PCAI, and another NGO, Mr. Chair. That's all for the roll call, Mr. Chair.
Alright, thank you for that. Considering we have a quorum, we can already proceed with the matters in the agenda. First one is the pre-bid conference for supply and delivery of multi-test instrument calibrator for ANS Technical Center. This is an ANS project. Do we have prospective bidders for this? If there are, let's already bid them and have the presentation done.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir, we have prospective bidders for this, and the ANS, sir, is now ready to present. Go ahead, Sir Florian. Mr. Chair, we would like to request to allow the prospective bidders to be admitted. Secretariat, please. Go ahead, Engineer Florian.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. And good morning to our prospective bidders. Welcome to the pre-bid conference for the project Supply and Delivery of Multi-Test Instrument Calibrator for ANS Technical Center with bid number 22-006-09. So for the outline of my presentation, we have the invitation to bid, instruction to bidders with corresponding BDS, general conditions of the contract with corresponding SEC, schedule of requirements, technical specifications, checklist, and discussion, clarification on the last part. For the invitation to bid, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, through the CAAP Corporate Operating Budget for fiscal year 2022, intends to apply the total sum of 5,250,000 pesos, being the approved budget for the contract, to payments under the contract for supply and delivery of multi-test instrument calibrator for ANS Technical Center. So the description is one multi-test instrument calibrator set, complete with accessories, capable of calibrating the following test and measuring instruments: analog and digital handheld and bench multimeters up to 6.5 digits, graphical multimeters, current clamp meters, analog and digital handheld, and bench oscilloscopes up to 600 MHz bandwidth, thermocouples and resistance meters, and panel meters. Bids received in excess of the ABC shall be automatically rejected at bid opening. The CAAP now invites bids for the approved procurement project. Delivery of goods is required within 180 calendar days. Bidders should have completed within 7 years from the date of submission and receipt of bids a contract similar to the project. The description of an eligible bidder is contained in the bidding documents, particularly in Section 2, Instruction to Bidders. Bidding will be conducted through open, competitive bidding procedures using a non-discretionary pass-fail criterion as specified in the 2016 Revised Implementing Rules and Regulations of Republic Act No. 9184. Bidding is restricted to Filipino citizens, sole proprietorships, partnerships, or organizations with at least 60% interest of outstanding capital stock belonging to citizens of the Philippines and to citizens or organizations of the country, the laws or regulations of which grant similar rights or privileges to Filipino citizens pursuant to RA number 5183. Prospective bidders may obtain further information from BAC Secretariat of CAAP, Nia Road, Pasay City, and inspect the bidding documents at the address given below during office hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Monday to Friday except declared holidays, weekends, and suspension of work. A complete set of bidding documents may be acquired by interested bidders on September 23, 2022 until the deadline of submission of bids from the given address and websites below and upon payment of the applicable fee for the bidding documents pursuant to the latest guidelines issued by the GPPB in the amount of 10,000 pesos. The procuring entity shall allow the bidder to present its proof of payment for the fees through email. The CAAP will hold a pre-bid conference on September 29, 2022 at 10 a.m., that's today, through video conferencing or webcasting Google Meet application, which shall be open to prospective bidders who will coordinate with the BAC Secretariat for the Google Meet link. Bids must be duly received by the BAC Secretariat through manual submission at the office address indicated below on or before October 11, 2022 at 2 p.m. Late bids shall not be accepted. All bids must be accompanied by bid security in any of the acceptable forms and in the amount stated in ITB Clause 14. Bid opening shall be on October 11, 2022 at 2 p.m. at the given address below and or via video conferencing Google Meet application. Bids will be opened in the presence of the bidders' representatives who choose to attend the activity. The CAAP reserves the right to reject any and all bids, declare a failure of bidding, or not award the contract at any time prior to contract award in accordance with Section 35.6 and 41 of the 2016 Revised IRR of RA 9184, without thereby incurring any liability to the affected bidder or bidders. For further information, please refer to Engineer Leandro R. Varquez, Head, BAC Secretariat, Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, Nia Road, Pasay City. Website is www.caap.gov.ph. Telephone number is 7944-2358. Or you may visit the following websites for downloading of bidding documents: www.philjeps.gov.ph or at the CAAP website. Now we go to the instruction to bidders with corresponding BDS or bid data sheet. For number 1, scope of bid, the procuring entity, CAAP, wishes to receive bids for the supply and delivery of multi-test instrument calibrator for ANS Technical Center. The procurement project is composed of one lot, the details of which are described in Section 7, Technical Specifications. The funding information, the GOP, through the source of funding as indicated below for fiscal year 2022 in the amount of 5,250,000 pesos. The source of funding is the corporate operating budget. For number 3, the bidding requirements. The bidding for the project shall be governed by all the provisions of RA number 9184 and its 2016 revised IRR, including its generic procurement manuals and associated policies, rules, and regulations as the primary source thereof, while the herein clauses shall serve as the secondary source thereof. Any amendments made to the IRR and other GPPB issuances shall be applicable only to the ongoing posting, advertisement, or invitation to bid by the BAC through the issuance of a supplemental or bid bulletin. The bidder, by the act of submitting its bid, shall be deemed to have verified and accepted the general requirements of this project, including other factors that may affect the cost, duration, and execution or implementation of the contract, project, or work, and examine all instructions, forms, terms, and project requirements in the bidding documents. For the number 4, the procuring entity, as well as the bidders and suppliers, shall observe the highest standard of ethics during the procurement and execution of the contract. They or through an agent shall not engage in corrupt, fraudulent, collusive, coercive, and obstructive practices defined under Annex I of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184 or other integrity violations in competing for the project. For the eligible bidders, only bids of bidders found to be legally, technically, and financially capable will be evaluated. Foreign ownership limited to those allowed under the rules may participate in this project. For 5.3, pursuant to Section 23.4.1.3 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184, the bidder shall have an SLCC or single largest completed contract that is at least one contract similar to the project, the value of which, adjusted to current prices using the PSA CPI, must be at least equivalent to at least 50% of the ABC. And for the bid data sheet, for this purpose, similar contracts similar to the project shall be supply and delivery of test and measuring instruments and completed within 7 years prior to the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. The bidder shall comply with the eligibility criteria under Section 23.4.1 of the 2016 IRR of RA number 9184. For the origin of goods, there is no restriction on the origin of goods other than those prohibited by decision of the UN Security Council taken under Chapter 7 of the Charter of the UN, subject to domestic preference requirement under ITB Clause 18. For number 7, subcontracts, the bidder may subcontract portions of the project to the extent allowed by the procuring entity as stated herein, but in no case more than 20% of the project. The procuring entity has prescribed that subcontracting is not allowed. And for the BDS, stated that there are no further instructions. For number 8, pre-bid conference, the procuring entity will hold a pre-bid conference for this project on the specified date and time, and either at its physical address and or through video conferencing or webcasting as indicated in paragraph 6 of the IB. Clarification and amendment of bidding documents. Prospective bidders may request for clarification on and or interpretation of any part of the bidding documents. Such requests must be in writing and received by the procuring entity either at its given address or through electronic mail indicated in the IB, at least 10 calendar days before the deadline set for the submission and receipt of bids. Documents comprising the bid, eligibility, and technical components. This is for number 10. For 10.1, the first envelope shall contain the eligibility and technical documents of the bid as specified in Section 8, checklist of technical and financial documents, and in the BDS. As reference to the BDS, in 10.1, it states that per CAAP memorandum dated 17 September 2018 regarding disqualification of prospective bidders with pending case against the government in the procurement activities of the CAAP, all prospective bidders shall be required to submit the following. Number 1, a certification under oath attesting that they have no pending case against the government, in addition to the eligibility requirements for bidders as prescribed under the revised implementing rules and regulations of RA 9184. And number 2, legal clearance to be issued by the CAAP Enforcement and Legal Service with respect to the non-pendency of any cases of prospective bidders against the authority. In case of joint venture, each member of the joint venture shall submit the above required documents under BDS Section 10.1a. Letter B, technical brochures or data sheets. C, certificate from original equipment manufacturer as authorized distributor. Bids not complying with above instructions shall be automatically disqualified. For 10.2, the bidder's SLCC, as indicated in ITB Clause 5.3, should have been completed within 7 years prior to the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. For 10.3, if the eligibility requirements or statements, the bids and all other documents for submission to the BAC are in foreign language other than English, it must be accompanied by translation in English, which shall be authenticated by the appropriate Philippine Foreign Service establishment, post, or the equivalent office, having jurisdiction over the foreign bidders' affairs in the Philippines. Similar to the required authentication above, for contracting parties to the Apostille Convention, only the translated documents shall be authenticated through an apostille pursuant to GPPB Resolution Number 13-2019, dated 23 May 2019. The English translation shall govern for purposes of interpretation of the bid. For number 11, for clause 11, documents comprising the bid financial component. The second bid envelope shall contain the financial documents for the bid as specified in Section 8, checklist of technical and financial documents. If the bidder claims preference as a domestic bidder or domestic entity, a certification issued by DTI shall be provided by the bidder in accordance with Section 43.1.3 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184. Any bid exceeding the ABC indicated in paragraph 1 of the invitation to bid shall not be accepted. For foreign funded procurement, a ceiling may be applied to bid prices provided the conditions are met under Section 31.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184. For clause 12, bid prices. Prices indicated in the prices schedule shall be entered separately in the following manner. For goods offered from within the procuring entity's country, letter I, the price of the goods quoted, X works, X factory, X warehouse, X showroom, or off the shelf as applicable. The cost of all customs duties and sales and other taxes already paid or payable. The cost of transportation, insurance, and other costs incidental to delivery of the goods to their final destination, and the price of other incidental services, if any, listed in the BDS. In reference to the BDS in clause 12, the price of the goods shall be coded PDP or delivered duties paid, CAAP, near road, Pasay City, or the applicable international commercial terms for this project. For goods offered from abroad, Unless otherwise stated in the BDS, the price of the goods shall be quoted, delivered, duty paid, with the place of destination in the Philippines as specified in the BDS. In quoting the price, the bidder shall be free to use transportation through carriers registered in an eligible country. Similarly, the bidder may obtain insurance services from any eligible source country. The price of other incidental services, if any, as listed in the BDS. For clause 13, bid and payment currencies. For goods that the bidder will supply from outside the Philippines, the bid prices may be quoted in the local currency or tradable currency accepted by the BSP at the discretion of the bidder. However, for purposes of bid evaluation, bids denominated in foreign currencies shall be converted to Philippine currency based on the exchange rate as published in the BSP reference rate bulletin on the day of the bid opening. Payment of the contract price shall be made in Philippine pesos. For clause 14, bid security, the bidder shall submit a bid securing declaration or any form of bid security in the amount indicated in the BDS. It shall not be less than the percentage of the ABC in accordance with the schedule of the BDS. The bid and bid security shall be valid until 120 calendar days. Any bid not accompanied by an acceptable bid security shall be rejected by the procuring entity as non-responsive. For reference to bid datasheet in 14.1, the bid security shall be in the form of a bid securing declaration or any of the following forms and amounts. The amount of not less than 105,000 pesos, equivalent to 2% of the ABC, if bid security is in cash, cashier's or manager's check, bank draft or guarantee, or a revocable letter of credit. Or B, the amount of not less than 262,500, equivalent to 5% of the ABC, if bid security is in surety bond. For clause 15, sealing and marking of bids, each bidder shall submit one original copy of the first and second components of its bid. The procuring entity may request additional hard copies and/or electronic copies of the bid. However, failure of the bidders to comply with the said request shall not be a ground for disqualification. If the procuring entity allows the submission of bids through online submission or any other electronic means, the bidder shall submit an electronic copy of its bid, which must be digitally signed. An electronic copy that cannot be opened or is corrupted shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified. For the bid datasheet in clause 15, number 1, each and every page thereof shall be initialed by the duly authorized representative of the bidder. Submitted eligibility, technical, and financial documents shall be properly marked with index tabs or ear tabs and must be sequentially paginated in accurate order in the form. Example, page 3 of 100. Pagination shall be sequential all throughout the documents inside the envelope. Bids not complying with the above instructions shall be automatically disqualified. And number 2, each bidder shall submit one copy of the first and second components of its bid. For clause 16, deadline for submission of bids, the bidders shall submit on the specified date and time and either at its physical address or through online submission as indicated in paragraph 7 of the IB. Clause 17, opening and preliminary examination of bids. The BAC shall open the bids in public at the time, on the date, and at the place specified in paragraph 9 of the IB. The bidders' representatives who are present shall sign a register evidencing their attendance. In case video conferencing, webcasting, or other similar technologies will be used, attendance of participants shall likewise be recorded by the BAC Secretariat. In case the bids cannot be opened as scheduled due to justifiable reasons, The rescheduling requirements under Section 29 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184 shall prevail. The preliminary examination of bids shall be in accordance with the revised IRR of RA 9184. For Clause 18, domestic preference, the procuring entity will grant a margin of preference for the purpose of comparison of bids in accordance with Section 43.1.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. Clause 19, detailed evaluation and comparison of bids. The procuring BAC shall immediately conduct a detailed evaluation of all bids rated passed using non-discretionary pass-fail criteria. The BAC shall consider the conditions in the evaluation of bids under Section 32.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. If the project allows partial bids, bidders may submit a proposal on any of the lots or items, and evaluation will be undertaken on a per lot or item basis, as the case may be. In this case, the bid security, as required by ITB Clause 15, shall be submitted for each lot or item separately. The descriptions of the lots or items shall be indicated in Section 7, Technical Specifications. Although the ABCs of these lots or items are indicated in the BDS, for purposes of the NFCC computation pursuant to Section 23.4.2.6 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. The NFCC must be sufficient for the total of the ABCs for all the lots or items participated in with the prospective bidders. The project shall be awarded as one project, having several items that shall be awarded as one contract, except for bidders submitting a committed line of credit from a universal or commercial bank in lieu of an NFCC computation. All bids must include the NFCC computations pursuant to Section 23.4.1.4 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184, which must be sufficient for the total of the ABCs for all the lots or items participated in by the prospective bidder. For bidders submitting the committed line of credit, it must be at least equal to 10% of the ABCs for the lots or items participated in by the prospective bidder. In reference to the bid data sheet in Clause 19.3, partial bid is not allowed. The goods are grouped in a single lot, and the lot shall not be divided into sublots for the purpose of bidding, evaluation, and contract award. For Clause 20, post-qualification, within a non-extendable period of 5 calendar days from receipt by the bidder of the notice from the BAC that it submitted the lowest calculated bid, the bidder shall submit its latest income and business tax returns filed and paid through the BIR electronic filing and payment system and other appropriate licenses and permits required by law and is stated in the BDS. For the bid data sheet in Clause 20, stated that there are no further instructions. In Clause 21, signing of the contract, the documents required in Section 37.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184 shall form part of the contract. Additional contract documents are indicated in the BDS. And in the bid data sheet in Clause 21, there are no further instructions also. Now we come to the general conditions of the contract with corresponding special conditions of the contract. For Clause 1 of the GCC, Scope of contract, this contract shall include all such items, although not specifically mentioned, that can be reasonably inferred as being required for its completion, as if such items are expressly mentioned herein. All the provisions of RA number 9184 and its 2016 revised IRR, including the generic procurement manual and associated issuances, constitute a primary source for the terms and conditions of the contract, and thus applicable in contract implementation. Herein clauses shall serve as the secondary source for the terms and conditions of the contract. This is without prejudice to sections 74.1 and 74.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184, allowing the GPPB to amend the IRR, which shall be applied to all procurement activities, the advertisement, posting, or invitation of which were issued after the effectivity of the said amendment. Additional requirements for the completion of this contract shall be provided in the special conditions of the contract. In reference to the SEC, for Clause 1, delivery documents, so it states here that the delivery terms applicable to the contract are DDP, delivered to CAAP, Near Road, Pasay City, in accordance with Incoterms. The delivery terms applicable to this contract are delivered to CAAP, Near Road, Pasay City. Risk and title will pass from the supplier to the procuring entity upon receipt and final acceptance of the goods at their final destination. Delivery of the goods shall be made by the supplier in accordance with the terms specified in Section 6, Schedule of Requirements. For purposes of this clause, the procuring entity's representative at the project site is Engineer Noel S. Gumayagay, Acting Division Chief, Air Navigation Facilities, Maintenance Division. Also for the incidental services, the supplier is required to provide all of the following services, including additional services if any specified in Section 6, Schedule of Requirements. Performance or supervision of on-site assembly and or startup of the supplied goods. Furnishing by detailed operations and maintenance manual for each appropriate unit of the supplied goods. Letter C, performance or supervision or maintenance and / or repair of the supplied goods for a period of time agreed by the parties, provided that this service shall not relieve the supplier of any warranty obligations under this contract. And D, training of the procuring entity's personnel at the supplier's plant and or on-site in assembly, startup, operation, maintenance, and or repair of the supplied goods. The contract price for the goods shall include the prices charged with the supplier for incidental services and shall not exceed the prevailing rates charged to other parties with the supplier for similar services. For Clause 2, the GCC, advance payment and terms of payment. Advance payment of the contract amount is provided under Annex D of the revised 2016 IRR of RA number 9184. The procuring entity is allowed to determine the terms of payment on the partial or staggered delivery of the goods procured, provided such partial payments shall correspond to the value of the goods delivered and accepted in accordance with prevailing accounting and auditing rules and regulations. The terms of payments are indicated in the SEC. In the SEC, in Clause 2.2, it states there that it's not applicable. For Clause 3 of the GCC, performance security, within 10 calendar days from receipt of the notice of award by the bidder from the procuring entity, but in no case later than prior to the signing of the contract by both parties, the successful bidder shall furnish the performance security in any of the forms prescribed in Section 39 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. For Clause 4, inspection and test, the procuring entity or its representative shall have the right to inspect and or to test the goods to confirm their conformity to the project specifications at no extra cost to the procuring entity in accordance with the generic procurement manual. In addition to the tests in the SEC, Section 4 shall specify what inspections and/or tests the procuring entity requires and where they are to be conducted. The procuring entity shall notify the supplier in writing in a timely manner of the identity of any representatives retained for these purposes. All reasonable facilities and assistance for the inspection and testing of goods, including access to drawings and production data, shall be provided by the supplier to the authorized inspectors at no charge to the procuring entity. And in the SEC, in Clause 4, A, physical inspection of the delivered equipment and its accessories shall be conducted by representatives from the Air Navigation Service, Supply Division, and supplier at the ANS Technical Center, CAAP, Near Road, Pasay City, as soon as possible. In letter B, operational tests of the equipment shall be conducted in accordance with CAAP technical specifications and equipment manual. The tests shall be conducted by the supplier's technical representative and witnessed by representatives from the Air Navigation Service after the physical inspection. Clause 5, warranty. In order to assure that manufacturing defects shall be corrected by the supplier, a warranty shall be required from the supplier as provided under Section 62.1 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184 in the SEC. The procuring entity shall promptly notify the supplier in writing of any claims arising under this warranty. Upon receipt of such notice, the supplier shall repair or replace the defective goods or other parts thereof without cost to the procuring entity pursuant to the generic procurement manual. In the SEC, in Clause 5.1, it states that warranty for the supplied equipment is 1 year from the date of acceptance by the end user. In Clause 6, liability of the supplier. The supplier's liability under this contract shall be as provided by the laws of the Republic of the Philippines. If the supplier is a joint venture, all partners to the joint venture shall be jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity. For the schedule of requirements, the delivery schedule expressed as weeks or months stipulates hereafter a delivery date, which is the date of delivery to the project site. For item number 1, multi-test instrument calibrator set, complete with the following accessories. 1.1, 1 unit high resistance box. 1.2, 1 thermocouple and test lead set. 1.3, 1 unit 50 turn current coil. 1.4, 1 unit thermo recorder. 1.5, 1 unit transit case with wheels. And item 2, current ISO 17025 accredited report of calibration. Delivery lead time is 180 calendar days. For the technical specifications, Section 7, there is an instruction for the statement of compliance that bidders must state either comply or not comply against each of the individual parameters of each specification, stating the corresponding performance parameter of the equipment offered. Statements of comply or not comply must be supported by evidence in a bidder's bid and cross-reference to that evidence. Evidence shall be in the form of manufacturer's unamended sales literature and conditional statements of specification and compliance issued by the manufacturer, samples, independent test data, etc., as appropriate. A statement that is not supported by evidence or is subsequently found to be contradicted by the evidence presented will render the bid under evaluation liable for rejection. A statement, either in the bidder's statement of compliance or the supporting the evidence that is found to be false, either during bid evaluation, post-qualification, or the execution of the contract, may be regarded as fraudulent and render the bid or supplier liable for prosecution subject to the applicable laws and issuances. Now for the technical specification. For letter I, or number 1, functional description, item 1, multi-test instrument calibrator set, complete with the following accessories: high resistance box for calibrating ohmmeters in conjunction with the calibrator, thermocouple and test lead set, 50 turn current coil for calibrating plumb type current meters, thermorecorder for measurement and recording of the temperature and humidity conditions of the calibration laboratory, and transit case with wheels for transporting the calibrator. Item 2, this is the capability. Capable of calibrating the following test and measuring instruments: analog and digital handheld and bench multimeters up to 6.5 digits, graphical multimeters, current plumb meters, analog and digital handheld and bench oscilloscope up to 600 MHz bandwidth, thermocouples and resistance meters, and panel meters. Item 3, robust design. Comes with internal and external protection features that protect it against damage. Item 4, the calibrator must be automation ready using calibration management software. And item 5, it must be transportable. For the performance characteristics required, function and range for direct voltage or DC, or the direct voltage 0 to plus or minus 1020 volts. For direct current, 0 to 20.5 amperes. Alternating voltage, 1 millivolt to 1020 volts with a frequency of 10 Hz to 500 kHz. Alternating current, 29 microampere to 20.5 ampere, 10 Hz to 30 kHz. Volt per Hertz, 1000 volt at 10 kHz or 330 volts at 100 kHz. Waveforms, sine, square, triangle, and truncated sine. For the resistance, 0 ohm to 1100 mega ohms. Capacitance, 220 picofarad to 110 microfarad. Power of phantom loads, 20.9 kilowatt. Phase control, 0.01 degree. Thermocouple, source and measure temperature. The types are B, C, E, J, K, LNR, S, T, U with 10 microvolt per degree Celsius. For the resistance temperature detector or source temperature, capabilities are PT 385-100 ohms, PT 3926-100 ohms, PT 3916-100 ohms, PT 385-200 ohms, PT 385-500 ohms, PT 385-1000 ohms, PTNI 385-120 ohms, NI 120, and CU 427 10 ohms. For the interfaces, the required are RS-232 and IEEE 488. It must have phase lock capability, and frequency uncertainty is less than 2.5 parts per million or ppm. It must be external frequency reference must be present, and for the oscilloscope calibration function, leveled sine wave from 5 millivolts to 5.5 volts peak to peak, maximum frequencies 50 kilohertz to 600 kilohertz, and 3.5 volts peak to peak, maximum to 600 megahertz. Edge rise times of less than 300 PS. Multiple trigger functions, lowest DC, square wave, and timing uncertainty. For the accessories, for the high resistance box, these are the range required. Resistance per step, 10 ohms. Total decade resistance is 100 ohms. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.03% plus 2 milliohms. Resistance per step, 100 ohms. Total decade resistance is 1 kilo ohm. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.03% plus 2 milliohms. Resistance per step, 1 kilo ohm. Total decade resistance, 10 kilo ohms. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.03%. For the 10 kilo ohm resistance per step, total decade resistance is 100 kilo ohms. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.03%. Resistance per step, 100 kilo ohms. Total decade resistance is 1 mega ohms. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.03%. Resistance per step, 1 mega ohms. Total decade resistance, 10 mega ohms. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.03%. Resistance per step, 10 mega ohms. Total decade resistance, 100 mega ohms. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.1%. Resistance per step, 100 mega ohms. Total decade resistance, 1 giga ohms. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.2%. Resistance per step, 1 giga ohms. Total decade resistance, 10 giga ohms. Accuracy is plus or minus 0.5%. For the next accessory is the test lead set and thermocouples. The test lead set must be rated voltage and current is 1000 volts, 10 amperes. Must have a one-piece soft case for test lead. And these are the required test leads and thermocouples. For the 50-turn current coil accessory, number of turns is 50. Maximum current is 11 amperes RMS, continuous. 20 amperes RMS for 2 minutes. Maximum duty cycle, the rating, less than 11 amperes, continuous. Greater than 11 amperes for 2 minutes on, 8 minutes off. Maximum voltage is 3 volts RMS. Frequency of operation, DC, and from 45 to 440 Hertz. It should not exceed the RMS voltage rating. For the current output is DC and 45 to 65 Hertz, 0 to 20 amperes, and from 65 to 440 Hertz is 0 to 2.99999 amperes. And the uncertainty due to clamp meter or coil interaction is plus or minus 0.25% of effective output plus 0.5 ampere. For toroidal wound current clamps, or plus or minus 0.5% of effective output plus 0.5 amperes for current clamps. Minimum inside diameter of clamp jaw that can be accommodated is 2.54 centimeters or 1 inch. For the temperature and relative humidity meter or lagger, number of channels required is 2. One channel is for temperature and another for humidity. The measurement range for the temperature is 0 to 50 degrees Celsius. For humidity, it must be capable of measuring 10 to 95% relative humidity. Its accuracy for temperature is plus or minus 0.5 degrees Celsius. And for humidity is plus or minus 5% relative humidity at 25 degrees Celsius, 50% relative humidity. Measurement resolution for temperature is 0.1 degrees Celsius. For humidity is 1% relative humidity. The recording intervals must be selectable from 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds, or 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 60 minutes, for a total of 15 choices. It must have a logging capacity of 8,000 readings, and the recording modes required are endless or overwrite from the oldest data when recording capacity is full, or one-time method. It will stop recording when the recording capacity is full. The LCD display items are measurements, channel 1 only, channel 2 only, or alternating display, recording status, battery life warning, over measurement range, amount of recorded data, unit of measurement, view temperature and humidity data in graph form, start recording, download data, monitor current readings, and check backup battery. For item 3, warranty is 1 year. Now we go to the checklist. For the technical component envelope, Class A documents. For the legal documents, valid PhilJEP's registration certificate, platinum membership, all pages, in accordance with Section 8.5.2 of the IRR. For the technical documents, statement of the prospective bidder of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid, and statement of the bidder's single largest completed contract, or SLCC, similar to the contract to be bid, except under conditions provided for in sections 23.4.1.3 and 23.4.2.4 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184 within the relevant period as provided in the bidding documents, and original copy of bid security, if in the form of a surety bond, submit also a certification issued by the Insurance Commission, or original copy of notarized bid security declaration, and conformity with the technical specifications, which may include production or delivery schedule, manpower requirements, and or after-sales parts, if applicable, and original duly signed omnibus sworn statement, and if applicable, original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original special power of attorney of all members of the joint venture, giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the omnibus sworn statement and do acts to represent the bidder. Letter G, legal clearance to be issued by the CAAP Enforcement and Legal Service with respect to the non-pendency of any cases of prospective bidders against the authority. H, certification under oath attesting that they have no pending case against the government, in addition to the eligibility requirements for bidders as prescribed under the revised implementing rules and regulations of RA 9184. Letter I, bid bulletin, if applicable. Letter J, technical brochures or datasheet. Letter K, certificate from original equipment manufacturer as authorized distributor. For the financial documents, the prospective bidder's computation of net financial contracting capacity, NFCC, or a committed line of credit from a universal or commercial bank in lieu of its NFCC computation. For Class B documents, letter M, if applicable, a duly signed joint venture agreement in case the joint venture is already in existence, or duly notarized statements from all the potential joint venture partners stating that they will enter into and abide by the provisions of the JVA in the issuance that the bid is successful. Other documentary requirements under RA 9184 as applicable for foreign bidders claiming by reason of their country's extension of reciprocal rights to Filipinos, certification from the relevant government office of their country stating that Filipinos are allowed to participate in government activities for the same item or product. Letter O, certification from the DTI if the bidder claims preference as a domestic bidder or domestic entity. For the financial component envelope, original of duly signed and accomplished financial bid form, and B, original and duly signed and accomplished price schedules. That's all for my presentation. We now come to the discussion or clarification from in case the prospective bidders have questions. Mr. Chair.
At this juncture, the technical working group as well as the the end user are now ready to accept questions from our prospective bidder. To our prospective bidder, before you raise your question, kindly state your name and the company you represent, please. Any questions po? Any questions from our prospective bidders? If there will be none, I think we prospective bidders still have the opportunity to raise their questions or clarifications by writing to the BAC Secretariat 10 days on or before 10 days from the opening of the bids po. Mr. Chair, I think we do not have any questions from our prospective bidders for now, sir. Okay. We recognize Mr. From Cromar. Cromar, please.
Yes po, good morning po, sir.
Hello, ma'am. Can you speak louder po and can you state your name and the company you represent, please?
Yes, sorry. Good morning po. My name is Vanessa po from Chomar Unit 3.
Yes, ma'am. Can you speak closer to the microphone, please, as we cannot hear you well?
Sir, may question lang po ako regarding po dun sa sir. Tanong ko lang po kung saan po namin makukuha, sir, yung legal clearance po na in-issue ng CAAP enforcement and legal service po.
Hello, ma'am. You're asking for the legal clearance po?
Yes po, sir. Sino po kayang possible na makontak namin para hingi po kami?
For the legal clearance, ma'am, you may get it sa Enforcement and Legal Service. Dito po yan sa CAAP. May office po sila, malapit lang po dito sa back office po namin. And you can file your request for legal clearance and get it immediately na naman po.
Noted po, sir. Maraming salamat po. So, sir, ask na lang po, sir. Kasi, sir, dun sa bid docs po na na-download ko through PhilDeps po, ang bid docs po is amounting to 11,200. Ang nabanggit po kanina, sir, kasi ni sir is 10,000 po. Sir, ano po sa dalawa, sir, yung bid docs po?
May we request the end user to clarify the question, please? Whether it's 10,000 or 11,000. Sir Florian?
Attorney, it's 10,000 as stated in the bid docs.
Ma'am, is it clear po? Cromar, it's
Yes.
10,000 pesos po yung bid docs po natin.
Sir.
Any other questions? Mr. Chair, I think wala na po tayong questions from our prospective bidders. The technical working group is now recommending to close this item, Mr. Chair, so that we can move to another item po.
Alright, due to time constraints as well, let's already close this. Basically, be reminded you have the opportunity to send us your questions in writing as mentioned. Sige, let's proceed, Attorney Frank, and dismiss the attendees and go to the next item, please.
For various airports, and this will be ADM. This is an ADMS project. ADMS is now ready to present, Mr. Chair, and may we request BAC Secretariat to admit the prospective bidders, please. ADMS, go ahead. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, yes. Good morning. Thomas Santos from ADMS presenting for the pre-bid conference for the supply and delivery of 20 units 36585 R25 truck tires for various airports. So for the invitation to bid or the project title is supply and delivery of 20 units 36585 R25 truck tires for various airports. The source of fund is CAAP APP CY22 and the approved budget for the contract is 5,900,000 pesos. So the duration for the project will be 210 calendar days and the applicable fee for the bidding documents is 11,200 inclusive of the 12% VAT. For the bid data sheet for the project under ITB Instruction to Bidders Clause 5.3 for this purpose, the contract similar to the project shall be supply, delivery of heavy equipment tires, and prospective bidders must have completed within the last 5 years a single contract that is similar to this project, equivalent to at least 50% of the ABC. Under Clause 7.1, subcontracting is not allowed for this project. And under Clause 10 and 11, the bidder shall submit all eligibility and technical documents as specified in Section 8, checklist of technical and financial documents, which will be discussed at the end of the presentation. Bids not complying with the above instructions shall be disqualified. Under Clause 12, the price of the goods shall be quoted DDP or the applicable international commercial terms for this project. And under 14.1, the bid security shall be in the form of a bid securing declaration or any of the following forms and amounts. Letter A, the amount of not less than 118,000 or 2% of the ABC. If bid security is in cash, cashier's or manager's check, bank draft guarantee or irrevocable letter of credit. Or letter B, the amount of not less than 295,000 or 5% of the ABC if bid security is in surety bond. Under ITB Clause 14.2, the bid security in the form of surety bond shall be valid until 120 calendar days from the date of opening of bids and shall be callable on demand. Under special conditions of contract, under Clause 2.2, partial payment is not allowed and the terms of payment shall be 100% after complete delivery of goods. The 20 unit tires will be distributed to 10 airports, 2 per airport, Lawag, Tuguegarao, Plaridel, San Vicente, Bicol, Antique, Tacloban, Jolo, Ozamis, and Siargao airports. For the technical specifications of the tires, so it's for its description, the load range should be J, tread depth is 28-30 seconds, max speed is 55 miles per hour, loaded radius 20.5, overall diameter should be 45, and the overall width is 14.5. The approved rims width is 9 or 10. And revs per mile should be 465. The maximum tire load single should be 10,150 pounds and 125 psi. So the tire should be all-terrain, radial for tactical vehicles, buttress shoulder blocks, optimized non-directional tread design, full with steel belts and elastic protector ply. It should also have tubeless construction and radial design. For the project's terms of preference, the bidders must possess the experience in projects similar to supply and delivery of heavy equipment tires. And as a technicality, to avoid disqualification for technical reasons, the bidders are advised to go over the bid documents thoroughly and comply with all the requirements. All documents, the legal, technical, and financial submitted shall be paginated. Example, page 1 of 100, page 2 of 100, 3 of 100, and so on. At the bottom center page of each document, and it must be properly tabbed. And bidder must not be blacklisted or barred from the bidding by the government of any country, any of its agency, offices, corporation, or local government units, and not included in the consolidated blacklisting report by the GPPB. Now to discuss the checklist of technical documents. Okay, so for the checklist of technical and financial documents, under the technical component envelope or Class A documents, for the legal documents, we'll be requiring valid field check registration certificate, platinum membership, all pages or registration certificate from SEC, DTI for sole proprietorship, or CDA for cooperatives or its equivalent document, and mayor's or business permit issued by the city or municipality where the principal place of business of the prospective bidder is located, and tax clearance per EO 398 as finally reviewed and approved by the BIR. Technical documents, letter E, the statement of the prospective bidder of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. And letter F, statement of the bidder's SLCC, similar to the contract to be bid, except under conditions provided for in sections 23.4.1.3 and 23.4.2.4 of the 2016 revised RRR, the RA 9184. And letter G, original copy of bid security, if in the form of a surety bond, submit also certification issued by the Insurance Commission or original copy of notarized bid securing declaration. And letter H, conformity with the technical specifications, which may include production, delivery schedule, manpower requirements, and or after sales parts to include the schedule of requirements if applicable. And this shall include all of the following documents as attachment to the conformity with the technical specifications. Number 1, the schedule of requirements. For letter I, the omnibus, original duly signed omnibus sworn statement, and if applicable, original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original SPA of all members of the joint venture giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the OSS and to do acts to represent the bidder. This shall include all of the following documents as attachment to the omnibus sworn statement. Number one, the certification under oath attesting that they have no pending case against the government. Number two, the legal clearance to be issued by the CAAP PLS. And number three, the bid bulletins if applicable. For the financial documents, under letter J, the supplier's audited financial statements. Under letter K, the prospective bidder's computation of NFCC or a committed line of credit from a universal or commercial bank in lieu of its NFCC computation. Under letter L, Class B documents, if applicable, a duly signed JVA or joint venture agreement or duly notarized statements from all the potential joint venture partners stating that they will enter into and abide by the provisions of the JVA. Under Roman numeral number 2, financial component envelope. Under letter M, original of duly signed and accomplished financial bid form, original of duly signed and accomplished BOQ, price schedules, and original, under letter O, original of duly signed and accomplished forms for goods offered from the Philippines and or abroad. Other documentary requirements under RA 9184. Under letter P, for foreign bidders claiming by reason of their country's extension of reciprocal rights to Filipinos, certification from the relevant government office of their country stating that Filipinos are allowed to participate in government procurement activities for the same item or product, and the certification from the DTI if the bidder claims preference as a domestic bidder or domestic entity. That ends my presentation, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
At this juncture, Mr. Chair, the technical working group as well as the end user are now ready to accept questions from our prospective bidders. To all our prospective bidders, should you have any question, kindly state your name and the company you represent before raising your questions or clarifications. Thank you. Any questions po from our bidders?
Yes po sir. Michael Luna po sir from Michelin.
Yes po sir.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Sir, i-clarify ko lang po sir, yung load index po which is 164, which is equivalent po sa 5,000 kilograms maximum per tar po yun. And then at this load po is our speed is around 90 kilometers per hour. Just to confirm lang po sir.
End user please.
Sir, what was the question again, sir? Sorry.
Yung ano po sir, yung load index po kasi, the tar we're offering po is yung 164, which is equivalent po sa 5,000 kilograms per tar po, yung capacity. And then yung speed index po niya is G, which is equivalent po to 90 kilometers an hour. So that means yung tar po is can run 90 kilometers an hour with a maximum load of 5,000 kilograms po. Just to confirm lang po, sir.
Ilang kilograms, sir, ulit?
5,000 po, sir, yung per tar, 5,000 kilograms. Kasi 164 po yung load index, sir. Yung load index po, as international standards po is equivalent po sa 5,000 kilograms. Just to confirm lang po, sir.
Okay, sir. We will look into that, and kung magkakaroon ng changes with the mag-issue na lang kami ng bid bulletin, no? Regarding
Okay po,
sa
sir.
load index, yeah.
Times speed. Okay po, sir. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then last lang, another question lang po, sir, is yung mga dimension na na nakita naman po kanina. So yung overall diameter po is 1,144 millimeters. And then yung section width po niya is 368 millimeters. Just checking lang po, sir. The picture wall hindi po tatama doon sa mga parts nung vehicle.
Yes, sir. Opo. Kung ano, yung 45 inches and ano po, na overall
Tama po, sir.
Yes, sir. Tama
Okay,
po yan.
thank you po, sir. Thank you po, sir. And then, yung warranty po, sir, we're offering is actually from Michelin po, sir. So, it's a manufacturer's warranty po, sir, yung amin. So, just to be sure, for Michelin products po kasi is we offer direct manufacturer's warranty. Hindi po siya, hindi po siya importer. So, we provide the full warranty po from Michelin itself to manufacturers. For information lang po, sir. Yun lang po. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. That is noted. Thank you po.
Thank you, Mr. Michael. Any other questions from our prospective bidders? So,
Sir, good morning po, sir.
yes. Yes po,
Sir,
sir.
Sarian po, sir. Sir, may question lang po regarding sa technical specifications po, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, yung sa statement of compliance po, shall we provide you po ng brochure with technical specifications of the tires and brand that we offer po as included po sa eligibility documents?
Well, sir, for this particular hindi kami nag-require na ng brochure as part of the requirements, but we will look into that, and if ever there will be changes, mag-issue tayo ng bid bulletin.
Yes, sir, kasi ang sometimes, sir, pag nilagay lang po namin comply dito at hindi po namin binigit yung brand na ino-offer namin gulong po. Iba-iba po kasi specifications ng mga brochures ng mga gulong po. We suggest po, if ever, mag-provide na lang po kami ng brochures of the tire ng brand na ino-offer namin. At the same time po, yung certificate of distributorship and para malaman po ng CAAP na legitimate po at authorized to sell po yung company ng gulong na ino-offer po.
And you, sir, please.
Sige, sir, that is noted. Again, if there will be changes in the requirements for the project, a bid bulletin will be issued, sir. Thank you.
Sir, furthermore, sir, kung pwede po. Sir, nire-review po namin yung bidding docs nyo. Napansin po namin sa omnibus sworn statement. Alin po bang gamit namin, sir? Yung luma o yung updated na po? Na 10, hanggang item number 10 po. Yung sa na-download po natin is only up to number 8 po. Yung format niyo po.
Sir, we will be using, sir, if I may reply to that, sir. Yes, we will be using the latest, sir, and we check our documents, sir, should we deem it necessary to provide additional information or changes dun sa omnibus sworn statement. We will provide bid bulletin for that, sir. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
that. Thank you.
Napansin lang po namin nung nire-review po namin. Isa pa po, sir, tuloy ko na po dun sa omnibus sworn statement po. Napansin po namin sa item number 4, sa updated po, sir. And may I say po, each of the documents submitted in satisfaction of the bidding requirement is authentic copy of the original, complete, and all statement and informations provided are true and correct. Question lang, sir. Kung makita po nung TWG po na hindi po sa technical specification po, nilagay po natin comply. And then, sa in-offer po na nakita sa brochure is different or hindi tama, hindi totoo yung kinomply nila. Is it, ano po ba ang stand ng TWG and what will be the consequences to the bidder who provided falsified information or concealment of the information to influence the outcome of the eligibility screening or any stage of the public bidding? as stated in the uniform guidelines of for blacklistings sa section 4.1 number 2 po.
Sir, kung meron pong inconsistencies at saka mga irregularities sa documents, sir, that would warrant the disqualification of the bidder. But as to blacklisting, sir, there is a certain procedure or processes being followed for the blacklisting, and that is something that is not part of this proceeding po, sir.
Ay, sir. Thank you po, sir, for the clarification po.
Thank you.
Maraming. Yan lang po, sir. If ever po may questions, we'll send it lang po.
Yeah. Okay, we're just reminding our prospective bidders that you are still given until before 10 days from the opening of bids to submit your written queries or clarification po. Maraming salamat po sa ating prospective bidders. Mr. Chair, I think we do not have any other questions from our bidders, sir. Ay, sir, I think we have one last from Mr. Mendo Enterprises. Mendo, please.
Good morning po. Sir, ask ko lang po dito sa schedule of requirements po. Paano po?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. State your name.
Paano po kaya yung terms na ito? Ordering agreement po or one-time delivery po?
And you, sir, please.
Yes, sir. One-time delivery po. And payment will be made after all the goods are delivered to site, sir.
Okay po. That's all lang po. Thank you po.
Thank you, Mendo Enterprises. Again, meron pa po kayong binibigyan pa rin po kayo ng opportunity makapag-raise ng questions 10 days before the opening of bids. You may submit your written queries or clarification at our back office. Thank you. Mr. Chair, the TWG is now recommending to close this item, Mr. Chair, and we can now proceed with the next item, sir, of our agenda. So, to our prospective bidders, thank you for participating in today's pre-bid conference. Secretariat, may you please speak to our bidders, sir? Secretariat? Mr. Chair, we are now ready for item 2.3, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. The next item in our agenda, sir, is the pre-bid conference for the supply delivery of 258 Pails Aqueous forming foam 3% solution for various airports. This is an ADMS project, and we have prospective bidders for this, Mr. Chair. We're requesting them to be admitted in the meeting room, and the ADMS, sir, is now ready to present this project. ADMS, Tom?
Yes, again, good morning. My name is Thomas Santos from ADMS, presenting for the pre-bid conference for the supply and delivery of 258 Pails Aqueous film forming foam, 3% solution for various airports. For the invitation to bid, the project title is Supply and Delivery of 258 Pails AFFF, 3% solution for various airports. The source of funding with CAAP APCY22, and the approved budget for the contract is 40,600 pesos. Duration is 90 calendar days, and the applicable fee for bidding documents is 11,200 inclusive of the 12% VAT. Under bid data sheet, ITB clause 5.3, for this purpose, contract similar to the project shall be supply and delivery of AFFF, and the Prospective bidders should have completed within the last 5 years a single contract that is similar to this project, equivalent to at least 25% of the ABC. Under clause 7.1A, subcontracting is not allowed, and under 10 and clause 10 and 11, the bidder shall submit all eligibility and technical documents as specified in section 8. Checklist of technical and financial documents, which will be discussed at the end of the presentation. Bids not complying with the above instructions shall be disqualified. Under clause 12, the price of the goods shall be quoted DDP or the applicable international commercial terms for this project. Under clause 14.1, the bid security shall be in the form of a bid securing declaration or any of the following forms and amounts. Letter A, the amount of not less than 106,812 pesos or 2% of the ABC if bid security is in cash, cashier's manager's check, backdraft guarantee, or irrevocable letter of credit. Or letter B, the amount of not less than 267,030 pesos or 5% of the ABC if bid security is in surety bond. Under clause 14.2, the bid security in the form of surety bond shall be valid until 120 calendar days from the date of opening of bids and shall be callable on demand. For the special conditions of contract under clause 2.2, partial payment is not allowed and terms of payment shall be 100% after complete delivery of the goods. The distribution list for the 258 Pails phone will be 10 area centers. Lawag International Airport will be receiving 41 Pails. Tuguegarao Airport, 20 Pails. Paridel Airport, 20 Pails. Puerto Princesa International Airport, 20 Pails. Bicol Airport, 30 Pails. Iloilo Airport, 37 Pails. Bohol Panglao Airport, 20 Pails. Tacloban Airport, 30 Pails. Pagadian Airport, 20 Pails. Guindingan Airport, 20 Pails for a total of 258 Pails. The technical specifications of the AFFF, the volume should be 20 liters per pail. Type of concentrate is AFFF. Mixing ratio 3%. Density should be at 20 degrees Celsius should be 1 to approximately 1.5 grams per centimeter cube. Viscosity should be 2 to approximately 10 millimeters squared per second. pH at 20 degrees should be 6 to 8 to approximately 8.5. Sedimentation should be less than or equal 0.5% volume. The freezing point less than or equal to negative 15 degrees for the normal type and less than or equal to negative 30 degrees Celsius for the cold resistant type. The foam expansion ratio should be greater than or equal to 7.0. The fire extinction time should be less than or equal to 60 seconds. 25% ignition time should be greater than or equal to 5 minutes. And the storage temperature should be minus 10 degrees Celsius to approximately 60 degrees Celsius. In terms of reference for the project, the bidders must possess the experience in projects similar to supply of AFFF. And for this project, the bidder must submit a manufacturer certification that the AFFF 3% to be supplied meets the minimum standards of ICAO performance level B. And they should also submit a certification from the manufacturer that the AFFF 3% performance level B being offered shall have at least 10 years shelf life service. Bidder must deliver the form within 3 months from issuance of NTP, and they must not be blacklisted or barred from the bidding by the government of any country, any of its agency, offices, corporation, or LGU, not included in the consolidated blacklisting report by the GPPB. For the checklist of technical and financial documents, under Class A documents, technical component envelope, letter A, valid field jobs registration certificate, platinum membership, or registration certificate from SEC, DTI for sole proprietorship, or CDA for cooperatives or its equivalent document. And C, mayor's or business permit issued by the city or municipality where the principal place of business of the prospective bidder is located, or the equivalent document for exclusive economic zones or areas. And letter D, tax clearance per EO number 398 series of 2005 was finally reviewed and approved by the BIR. Next, letter E, statement of the prospective bidder's ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started. Letter F, statement of the bidder's SLCC, similar to the contract to be bid. Letter G, original copy of bid security, if in the form of surety bond, submit also a certification issued by the Insurance Commission or original copy of notarized bid securing declaration. And letter H, conformity with the technical specifications, which may include production, delivery schedule, manpower requirements, and or after sales of parts to include schedule of requirements if applicable, and shall include all of the following documents as attachment to the conformity with the specs. Number 1, schedule of requirements, and number 2, the manufacturer certification that the AFFF meets the standards of ICAO performance level B, and certification from the manufacturer that the AFFF has at least 10 years shelf life service. Next is letter I, original omnibus warrant statement, and if applicable, the original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original SPA of all members of the joint venture giving full power and authority to its officer to sign the OSS and do acts to represent the bidder. This shall include all of the following documents as attachment to the OSS. Number 1 is certification under oath attesting that they have no pending cases against the government, in addition to the eligibility requirements as prescribed under the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. And number 2, legal clearance to be issued by the CAAP with respect to non-pending cases of the prospective bidders against this authority, and bid bulletins if applicable. For the financial documents, under item J, the supplier's audited financial statements showing among others the supplier's total and current assets and liabilities, stamp received by the BIR or its duly accredited and authorized institutions for the preceding calendar year. It should not be earlier than 2 years from the date of bid submission. And letter K, the prospective bidder's computation of NFCC or a committed line of credit from a universal or commercial bank in lieu of its NFCC computation. For the Class B documents under item L, if applicable, a duly signed joint venture agreement in case the joint venture is already in existence, or duly notarized statements from all the potential joint venture partners stating that they will enter into and abide by the provisions of the JVA in the instance that the bid is successful. Under the financial component envelope, or item M, original of duly signed and accomplished financial bid form. And letter N, original of duly signed and accomplished bill of quantities, price schedule. Letter O, original of duly signed and accomplished forms for goods offered from the Philippines and or abroad. And under other documentary requirements under RA 9184 as applicable, certification from the relevant government office of their country stating that Filipinos are allowed to participate in government procurement activities for the same item or product. And lastly, under item Q, certification from the TTI if the bidder claims preference as a domestic bidder or domestic entity. That ends my presentation, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
At this juncture, Mr. Chair, the technical working group and the end users are now ready to accept questions and clarifications from prospective bidders. Any questions or clarification from prospective bidders?
Good morning, sir. John Soriano po sa Aljan International po.
Good morning, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Same din po, sir. Regarding po lang doon sa Omnibus Warrant Statement lang, sir.
Duly noted on that, sir.
Thank you po, sir. Yun lang po, sir. Thank you very much po.
Thank you, sir. Other prospective bidders? So, kung wala na po, reminders lang po sa ating prospective bidders, meron pa rin po kayong chance na mag-raise ng mga questions at saka clarifications po ninyo. 10 calendar days before the opening of bids, submit it to our BAC secretariat para po masagot po ng technical working group at saka end user po. Maraming salamat po for participating this morning's pre-bid conference, and you are now excused po.